So we will start our session. So in this session, we will discuss. We'll start with declaring class in another class. So we'll start with this concept. So in this concept describes that we can declare a class in another class. So a class can contain an instance of another class using a handle to an object. So this is just like Verilog concept of instantiating a model in inside another model to build up a design hierarchy. So we can instantiate or we can use a class in another class. So this is a class, and we can use another one more class inside this class. Now let's see an example. So for suppose if we have a class called test underscore one, and this class has some properties and some routines. This class have some properties and routines, and we are ending the class, and we can declare the handle of this class as test underscore one as t1, and similarly I'm declaring one more class called class test underscore 2, and I'm declaring some properties, and I'm using the sorry, not here. So I'm declaring the handle of test underscore one as t1, like this. Yeah. So as discussing, we can declare a class inside another class. For example, I've taken a class called test underscore one, and I've declared some properties and routines inside the class test underscore one, and ending the class, and I've declared another class called test underscore two, and I'm declaring some properties, and I'm declaring the handle of test underscore one as t1. One second, is it not visible? Wait a minute. Now it visible? Now is it visible?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. So I can declare the handle of my test underscore one class as t1 inside this class test underscore two. And if I want to create the object of the test underscore one, so within a function new, I will declare the handle of my, sorry, I will declare the object for my class test underscore one like this. And function. So this is how we can declare a class inside another class, and we can also access the properties and routines of test underscore one from test underscore two using the declared object. So this is a process of declaring one class inside another class. Is this okay? Now we'll see next topic. So this topic is passing objects to routines. So we can pass. So the topic name is passing objects to routines. So we can pass objects to routines. Routines are nothing but functions and tasks. So we can pass objects to this functions and tasks as an arguments. So we will directly take one example and we will see. So we can pass objects from this to these routines with the help of function arguments and task arguments. So we will directly see an example of how to pass the object. So let me declare a task called T1. Sorry, not a class. First, I will take a not a task. I will take a class called T1 underscore ex, and I will declare some properties in this T1 underscore ex. So I've declared some properties, and I'll declare a task called say some random task ran, and for this, so wait a minute, I'll write it in a fresh page. So for this, I should have two classes. First class is class test underscore one, and here I am declaring class test underscore. So in class test underscore two, uh, I will have two properties. Some properties I will declare here, and I will declare a task here in class test underscore two. So before declaring the task, here I will declare some properties in class test underscore one. So these are some of the properties in test underscore one, and if we can include any routines if we want, and ending the class. And in class test underscore two, I will create the handle for the class test underscore one. Say test underscore one uh, t1, and I will declare a task called, or else no need here. So I will declare a task directly called rand, and I'm expecting the argument of this task as test underscore one t1. So the argument of my task is the class handle test underscore t1. So the task will accept only the handles of test underscore one class. So it will not accept the handles of other classes. So like this, I can constrain my task. So I can declare a task called I can give any name. So in the argument, I can give like this, that my task can accept only specific class handles. In this case, it is only test underscore one handles. So this task can accept only test underscore one handles. So I will write some internal logic inside this task, and I'm going to end the task. So what happens in initial begin block? Initial begin. So before that, I will declare the handle of class test underscore two also. Sorry, test underscore one. So I will declare the handle of test underscore one as t1. So inside this initial beginning block, I will create the object for my t1 handle. T1 is equal to new, and here I will declare a property called, for example, addr, which is of int type. So with the object created t1, I'm going to allocate the value for this addr as 10. And now I'm going to call this task called rand, and I'm going to pass the value of, sorry, pass the object t1 and ending the initial beginning block. So this is how we can transmit the entire object through the task argument. Is this clear for everyone? And if we want to discuss this more clearly, so here we can declare another argument as int addr underscore 2, and in the task we can write addr underscore 2 is equal to t1 dot addr, and here we will use this dot addr is underscore 2 is equal to t1 dot addr. So t1 dot addr is the property we are referring in class test underscore 1, and this underscore addr underscore 2 is the property which is present in class test underscore 2. So we are passing the object. So what happens in initial beginning block, we are calling the task called rand and we are passing the object t1. So we are calling the object t1. So the argument which is present in the task rand, that is so we have a task called rand, and the argument for that is test t1. So the object which we have passed will be allocated to this. So this handle will also be pointing to the object which we have passed. So there will be an object created when we have created here in the initial block. So the same object this handle will also be pointing like this, and here the value of addr will be stored, that will be allocated to t1 dot addr will be equal to this dot addr underscore 2, that is the class, that is a property which is declared inside test underscore 2. So is this process clear? How to pass the object through the task argument? Is this clear?
Can you repeat once again in brief introduction? Just in brief, actually the voice was lagging at my end.
Yeah. So I've declared two classes. First class is test underscore 1, and the properties are I've declared only one property called addr of int type, and I've declared another class called test underscore 2, and I've declared some of the properties in which one of the properties addr underscore 2 of int data type, and I have a class called and I have a task called grand. So this task is expecting a handle. Sorry, this task is expecting an object of the class test underscore 1. So the syntax is task ran, and the handle should be of test underscore 1 t1. So we are directly passing the object. So if we want to pass the objects, then the syntax is we should declare the class name followed by the handle name, so that only we can pass the objects to this task. And in this task, what I am doing is I am assigning this dot addr underscore 2 is equal to t1 dot addr. So t1 presently now it is pointing to null. Since I have not created any object, so t1 is pointing to null object like this. Since I have not created any object, it is pointing to null object, and this dot addr underscore 2 refers to the property which is declared inside test underscore 2, and ending the class, and I have declared a handle for test underscore 1 as t1. And within an initial beginning block, what I'm doing is I'm allocating the object for t1. So now this handle t1 will point to an object. So an object will be created for this handle t1, and we are allocating the value of addr which is present inside this class through this handle as 10, and we are passing this object t1. We are passing the entire object t1. So what happens is when we pass this object to this task, this handle which we have declared here will point to the same object which we have declared here. So the handle which is declared inside this argument will also be pointing to the object which we have created in this initial block. So now what happens, this t1 also have the value of addr, that is equal to 10. So if we are assigning t1 dot addr, then it will be equal to 10. and it is assigned to addr underscore 2. Is this clear?
Yes.
So this is how we can pass the uh, entire object through the task arguments. So instead of passing individual properties, we can pass the whole object after assigning uh, values to each properties. We can pass the whole object through the task argument if needed. So this is the process of passing the values, sorry, passing the objects through the arguments. Now, now let's see two scenarios. So these are also very important scenarios. These are asked in many interviews also. So we'll create a class called test underscore one, and we have a property called addr int addr, and I have a class called sorry, I have a task called say some random name packet. Let's see test packet, and sorry, let's take this previous example only. So this is test underscore 2 class, and same it is expecting the handle test underscore 1 t1, and in this we are creating the handle, sorry, object t1 is equal to new, and t1 dot addr is equal to 50 end task. So I'm keeping the test underscore 1 class as it is here, and I'm modifying the test underscore 2 class here. So test underscore 2 has a task called packet, and it is expecting an argument of test underscore 1 class object. So here in this task only we are creating the object for t1 as t1 is equal to new, and we are modifying the value of addr which is present in the handle t1 as 50, ending the task. Now what happens if I create a handle called sorry, task underscore 1 called t1, and I'm calling the task called packet, and I'm passing the handle t1, and if I display, so this is all within initial begin block, initial begin end dollar display t1 dot addr. So I have simply I have two classes, test underscore 1 and test underscore 2. Test underscore 1 is written here. So in this test underscore 1, I have a property called addr of int data type, and in test underscore 2, I have a task called packet, and this is expecting a handle of, okay, and this is expecting a handle of test underscore 1 t1, and here we are creating an object for this handle and modifying the addr is equal to 50, and we are creating a handle called t1, and within an initial beginning block we are calling the task and we are passing the handle, not the object. So in previous scenario we have created the object for that handle and we have passed it through task argument. In this case we have created the object for this task, object for this handle, and we have allocated some value to this object, and we have passed that object. But in this case, I've created only a handle, not the object. In the task, I've created the object. Is this clear? So previously, I was expecting an object. I'm not creating the object inside the task. I'm creating the object outside the class, and I'm passing that object to this task. But now I'm expecting an handle. I'm only passing the handle to my task, and I'm creating the object for that handle, and I'm assigning the value. Is this clear? This scenario? If you are having any doubt, you can ask. Is this okay, right? So now, can you tell me what is the value of t1.addr if we display it?
50.
So the value of t1.addr will not get, we will get some error
Yeah.
because we have declared a task called packet, and we are expecting the handle. So we are passing that handle, and the object has been created for this handle, and we are passing the value of 50 to this addr, t1.addr. So here what happens if we declare a task, and if we create if we are creating a handle, and we are creating an object for this handle. So all this will be local to this task, so this will be not reflected outside the task. So what that's why if we try to display, then we will get an error, because here we are not declaring the object for this outside t1, that is handle t1. And since we are not declaring the object for this t1 handle, so we will get an error that no object has been created. So it will give an error since t1 is pointing to a null object. Since that inside the task, all the all the declarations will be local to the task, so there will be not reflected outside the task. So that's why if we create a task, and if we pass the argument, and if we display the addr with the help of this t1 handle, then we will get an error saying that no object is created for this handle t1. Is this clear? So this is a very very important interview point. Is this clear?
Even if we create like memory inside that and try to access its access address value, will it be showing the value?
Here inside this initial block.
Yeah, initial block.
Yeah, if we create an object for this handle t1, then obviously it will be, this handle will be pointing to the object, and it will display the value of addr. Since this is a handle for class test underscore one, it will display. But I'm not but I'm not creating any object for this test underscore t1 class, so I'm displaying it. Is this okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Now let's take the second scenario. So this was the first scenario, and let's take the second scenario. So I'm not writing all this. So this will be same class test underscore two. What modification I'm doing is inside the task, task. What is that task name? Packet. So I'm making this modification. I'm giving the keyword ref. I think we have discussed this ref keyword in our class, in our sessions, right? So what happens? What we will get the value of ADDR if we display from same procedure within an initial begin block. What I'm doing is initial begin initially test underscore one t1 handle I have created, and I'm calling the task called packet, and I'm passing the handle, and I'm displaying the address value. So what will be the value of ADDR in this case? Any answer? So the value of ADDR will be equal to 50. Since we are not creating any object outside, that is in the initial begin block, but we are passing the handle to our task, and we are displaying the value of ADDR through this handle. So what happens when we pass the handle to our task? Since we are using the keyword ref, so we have already discussed this keyword ref. So any changes which are made to this handle inside the task will be reflected outside the task also. So that's why we are creating the object for this handle. So an object will be created to this handle, so these changes will be reflected outside the task also to the handle, and the value of ADDR will be equal to 50. So when we display it, when we display the value of ADDR t1 dot ADDR, then we will get the output as 50. Since we are using the keyword ref, so if we don't create any object outside the that is in the initial begin block, so here we are not creating any object, but we are getting the value of ADDR. Is this clear? So by using the keyword ref, we can solve the first case scenario. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all for today's session. So if you are having any doubts, you can ask me.